You should know that. Listen to the birds awakening the day. I love the rising of the sun.
Hey everybody, my name is Reggie. Some of you know me from my YouTube channel, RM Yajing, or the Simply Straight Talk podcast. But today, what I wanted to talk to you about is I get a lot of people saying, you know, how do you do your podcast and how much does it cost? And, you know, they're seeing you get different messages from different people. So I thought I would do a quick video just kind of showing you what tools I use when I'm doing my podcast. So first things first, one of the biggest questions is microphones, the setup. I personally use the Yeti. This is the Yeti Blue, okay? And for me, it has worked very well. I love this microphone. It was only like $159, but I love the sound quality. It is very sensitive. On the front, you have a mute button to where you can mute it. Down here, you have your volume button. But what I really love about this microphone is on the back, you have your gain, which you can set your gain. And then down here, you can either do cardio, which is like mono, you can do stereo. So basically, when I'm using my microphone, if I'm in cardio, that means only the front of the microphone is picking up. So if I'm talking into this way, the rest of the microphone is not picking up anything. So I'm not getting those extra sounds. So basically, I love that. But if I'm doing a video or say a podcast with different people, there's more than one person. Now, if you got 3 or 4 people, then you definitely want to have the option of having multiple microphones. But if you got 2 people, or if you just want to put the microphone in the middle, the Yeti, I think this is a great microphone because you can change the setting to where it's picking up in all 4 different directions. So you're getting sounds from everywhere, from everybody's voice. And I love that. Most of my podcasts are done with just me. So I keep it in mono. So if you are doing a podcast and you're recording your voice or you're doing a voiceover and it's just you, always use mono. Remember, stereo is more so when you're doing multiple voices. If it's one person, just use mono. It's going to sound a lot better and a lot clearer. Now, you're probably going to notice that I took off my filter. That's what this is. And the filter goes on top, and basically that's to help with the breaths and the breathing and certain words like P's, you know, that may give a spike in your vocal reading. So you're gonna need a filter. This filter cost me like about $5. Okay, you can get a filter very cheap. There are multiple types of filters out there. So remember, so far, the microphone, I use the Yeti Blue, but there are other options out there for you. You have to find what works best for you. Some microphones are built for music, some are built for voices. So if you're just doing a podcast and just voices, then the Yeti Blue, I think, is a great microphone. This is my personal preference. This is what I have been using for 3 or 4 years. So I love this microphone. Now, like I said, with every microphone, you're going to need a filter. Now, I have 2 filters. This filter simply goes right over the top of the microphone where you speak. I also have this filter, which I bought in the beginning. Now, this filter actually connects to a desk or to some place it can clip on, and basically you screw it in and you bend it to where it's in front of the mic. I gotta be honest with you. I do not like this microphone, this filter. Occasionally, I will use this filter. I paid like $20 for this, but I went to a music store and bought the filter and paid like $20. If I'd have went online, I could have got this for like $9. But that was me being dumb and not doing my proper research when I first started. But this is the first filter I bought. Some people like this filter. Personally, I don't like it because, like I said, once this filter is placed in, you know, sometimes it kind of wobbles while you're talking. It doesn't stay in place all the way all the time. I have to constantly adjust it. So that's why I'm not a fan of this filter. Like I said, this is my preference. I don't care for this, but so far, if you want to start a podcast, I paid about $159 for my mic, about $6 if you go for this type filter, which I think works great. It's thick. I love it. I have no problem with it splitting or tearing, so that's a good thing. But you're gonna need a filter, and a filter like this, I'll run you about $5. It just depends on the microphone you're using, but this goes for the Yeti Blue. So whatever microphone you're buying, make sure you get a filter that fits that microphone. But this one works great for the Yeti Blue. Get a little closer so you can see it. It's got the opening there, so it just goes right over the top. Next, one of the biggest questions I get is what type of headphones? Now, some people use Beats, which you know is a very expensive microphone. Some people like the expensive microphones, and I'm sorry, headphones. I'm still stuck on microphones. Some people like the expensive headphones. These are Skull headphones. They're very comfortable. They do go in and out. So I personally like them. There is a little talk feature there, which I rarely use, but I love them. Good sound quality, good playback quality, and that's really all you want. You want something that when you can put it on and you can hear what's, like when I'm podcasting, I can hear my voice coming through the microphone, so it kind of gives me an idea of what the listeners are actually hearing. These are Skull microphones. I paid, I think, these were like $60 is what I paid for these. Now, you can go out and buy the $200, $300 headsets if you want to. And honestly, I don't recommend it. I mean, unless you're doing a TV show type podcast, but if you just want good quality, these are great. These to me are great. And I think the biggest mistake a lot of people feel is that when they're doing podcasting, that they have to spend this large sum of money, and you don't. You really don't. So if you're doing audio podcasting and you're looking for headphones, I use the Skull headphones. I think they're great quality. They last well. These things almost look like new. You can see the little skull right there on the front of them, but they sound great. $60. So it's a great headphone set. Now, I'm going to go back to the microphone. There must be a reason I keep wanting to say microphone. This Yeti microphone, okay, is a USB microphone. So you got to remember that if you're doing a podcast. With the USB microphone, it plugs directly into your computer, okay? And this is the actual cord. So it plugs directly into your computer, and the other end of it will plug right here into the bottom of your microphone, whereas your headset will plug right there. So basically they all plug in, and once you actually plug your plug it in, you plug it into your computer, you're going to notice that a little red light comes on. That lets you know that you have power to your microphone. And if you click that button, that lets you know that your microphone is now on mute. Okay? So that's the Yeti microphone. And remember what I said. This is a USB microphone. Okay? So with a USB microphone, it plugs directly into your computer. You do not need a mixer. Okay? Now, there are some software programs that when you're actually recording your audio, that actually has a mixer, that you can use a mixer. But I use Audacity, and Audacity gives me great sound. I can make the adjustments that I need, but that's a whole nother video. But I get into a little bit of that in a few minutes. With your microphone, I really recommend that you buy a shock absorber. And the reason I say this is basically, I think I paid for this one, this was like $15, and it's for the Yeti microphone. Put it in there, screw the bottom in. Now, when you first get your microphone, there's going to be a screw inside of here that you have to take out. It's no big deal. That's what it's for, just to protect that. You take that out, then you can screw it in here. Now, once you do that, and the purpose of this is when you're talking and recording, sometimes you may lean forward or you may bump it, and what happens is it helps to stabilize your microphone so your microphone doesn't move and you're not getting that feedback into your recording. So you need to buy a shock absorber. This is a great purchase. It's well worth it. Well worth it. Now, the other thing is the Yeti does come with a stand. Okay, the Yeti microphone comes with a stand. Now, let me show you something real quick. This is the stand that comes with your packaging. Now, I don't have the screws in it because I took it off. But it's not a bad stand. It's very durable. It's very heavy. It'll sit like this. Okay, so you can basically move the microphone anyway, adjust it like that. But the only problem I have is once I sit this down, like on a counter, I'm up here. Okay, and look where my microphone is. I'll be talking into the top of the microphone when I actually need to be speaking right here. So, like I say, if your height is perfect with where you have the microphone setting, this works great. It works great. You can still move it. It doesn't really have that shocker, but it does have some rubber pads on the bottom, so it doesn't slide or move real easy. So that is really great. It is a great durable stand. But when you're doing a podcast or a voiceover, sometimes you want something to where you might be standing up, you might be sitting down, you might raise or lower your chair. So that's when this comes in. This is more of a table stand, okay? And basically what happens is I can take this, put it in here. Let me show you real quick. I probably should have took that out before I started. I screwed it back in. It's not as tiresome as it looks. Okay, that sits in there just like that. And basically what you do is this piece right here, you would take this and put it on the edge of a table. Now, here's the only thing. You're gonna need to find a table that has a lip that's at least about 2 inches so this can slide on it. And then you just tighten it up. Once it's on there, it works great, doesn't come off, it's a good fit. But like I said, that's the only thing. You need to find a lip that's where this can slide all the way in there and get flush against the back. Now, there are more. This I paid $20 for, and it came with the other piece to lock on. Here's the thing. Here's what I love about this. I love the freedom of my shock absorber will sit right here with the microphone inside it, and I can adjust it. If I feel like standing up during the podcast, I can. Feel like sitting down, I can, because the arm goes up and down, and the weight of the microphone helps to contain it. Now, the other thing is, I love that I can stretch this out if I need to as well, a little distance. Now, it's only gonna stretch maybe about a foot, okay? So don't think you're gonna be able to stretch across a room or anything like that. But you're gonna get about a good extra foot of stretching this out to reach you and set up. So that is a portable stand for a microphone, and this works great if you got the Yeti Blue. Like I said, if you got the Yeti, I've had no problems with this. It works good. It's very sturdy, like I said, so it's worth it. It's about $20. Okay, now if you want to record, some people use their cell phone. I have 2 cameras similar to this one. The one I'm recording on right now is a Canon Viva. Okay, and this is a JVC. So, like I said, you don't see no 4K. They both record 1080p. I'm not really, do a lot of video podcasts, but I'm going to start. But these are the cameras I'm going to be using. Both of these cameras, I think this one was, when I first bought it, was $169, and the Canon Viva that I'm recording on now, I think I paid like $140 for that one. So neither of these were very expensive. You only need one camera, but I just like having two. Okay, just always remember to buy extra batteries, and you can buy those online. You can get them for like 2 batteries for like $30. Okay, so now with everything I said, I showed you my basic setup, and of course I have a computer that I use. Nothing fancy. I use an HP Pavilion for my recording. I use Audacity as far as, my recording my podcast. Now, as far as who do I use to host my podcasting, I use Libsyn, and here's what I like about Libsyn. I love the fact that I can set up my email. I can set email. I can set up Think Reggie. I can set up YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iHeartRadio. You can actually send your podcast to them, but you have to been I think it's 3 months of podcasting before you can actually get your show submitted to iHeartRadio. But there are so many platforms you can use as far as getting your stuff put out there. Now, one of the things I mentioned about that I really love about Libsyn is the fact that when I do a podcast, I upload it to Libsyn. Then I have to add my show notes, and you have to select. You can either publish it now to where everybody can hear it, or you can schedule your podcast to be released on a certain day. Now, last year, from what was my season 2, I love the fact that I had like 3 to 4 shows uploaded for 3 to 4 weeks out. I do 1 show a week. So every week on Friday at 1 o'clock, my new show will release. So you have to be consistent in that, in making sure that you release a show so people know and they get used to the fact that, okay, on this day, this time is when the show comes out. So you have to be consistent in your podcast. Now, I use Libsyn. The purchase plan for Libsyn I use is $20 a month. And I'll tell you right now, with me releasing a 30 to 35 minute show every week, I got plenty of storage space. I don't have to worry about my shows being deleted. I don't have to worry about making space. It is plenty of space. They never get deleted. They give you your own podcast page, which I think most of the platforms do for hosting. But for me, I just like Libsyn. And for $2 a month, they will actually change your podcast page to whatever the name of your show is. You just have to make sure that you purchase a domain name and just tell them what it is, and they will actually make the change so that your web page, you can actually say, go to this domain name, whatever mine is simplystraighttalk.com. But I don't use that because I have my own web page, because I write music, I do my blog and my podcast, and I like everything going to one spot. But I do link to my Libsyn page. Like I said, it's $20 a month. I've had no problems. They do updates. When the updates, the podcast page has always been up. So I've had no problems. And you get options as far as what music reader you want the people you want to put out there for people to click on and listen to. So, and it doesn't take long to upload. So I use Libsyn, which is $20 a month. Remember, my microphone, about $159, $5 for my filter, $60 for the headphones. I want to say $20 for the absorber, $15-20 for the absorber. Definitely $20 for the stand. And my computer already actually this computer I bought from Best Buy, and I paid like $400 for the computer. So it had 1 terabyte. I still got plenty. Everybody kept saying I'm gonna need extra space, but plenty of space. Now, for those of you saying, do I need a host site for my podcast? I would say yes, you do, because of the storage space. But look into them. There's Stitcher, there's Bluehost, there's a ton of them. I just chose Libsyn because it worked best for me. I don't have to worry about storage space. Once I upload my podcast, once they publish the podcast, it goes to my Facebook, it goes to my YouTube, it goes to my Twitter account. Everything is notified. It's automatically out there. So I don't have to go to each social media site and upload it. I mean, it's just there. Pinterest is there. So it's always available without me having to do the extra work. So Now, here's what I want to tell you about podcasting, because there's a lot of people out there. When I first started looking into podcasts, it was about getting an audience. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is not as easy as everybody says, because there's so many podcasts, and podcast people there are more people getting involved in podcasting. So you got to make sure that you set your show up to where you have quality content. You want to sound professional. Make sure your sound is professional. I like the Yeti. I get a good, clear sound, because when I first started, a couple of my shows that I published, I noticed had this ugly echo in the background. So that's when I started learning the microphone. So take time to learn your equipment and make the changes. So I made some changes, better sound quality. Now, I do have commercials in my podcast. They're my own commercials of stuff that I want to promote, because I'm not big enough really to have like people saying, "Oh, Reggie, let us be on your podcast," but hopefully I get to that point. But I'm telling you right now my story so you will understand. And the other thing is, if you're doing a podcast, don't expect everybody to be running to your podcast. It's going to be slow. You got to check your analytics. Now, Libsyn gives good analytics. I can see what state, how many people view my podcast in what state. I can see what internet platform they found it on. So all of that stuff I review, so I can keep track of like, okay, where am I getting the most viewers? What show did good? What show didn't do good? So like for me, I'm going to tell you this. I learned that my political shows were not getting a lot of feedback. They really weren't. They were sucking. So I started going through them. Like, people really love my shows about relationships, relationship advice, family situations, real life topics. So for me, that worked. So that's where I now focus my podcast. Now for you, you might do politics and just have better content than I did, and people eat it up. People just want to hear it. So you got to figure out, where's your passion when it comes to communicating? What is your show going to be about? What is your theme? And stick to it. You can't be a sports show, be a political show and all this, because if you bounce around too much, it's going to confuse, and you're going to have a hard time pinning down your audience, because your sports fans may like your show, but if you're only doing sports, once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they're eventually going to drift away. So you got to make sure that you have a good solid theme that people feel they can relate to. Now, the other thing is getting an audience. Yes, you got to use social media. A lot of people say, I do agree with this, ask your friends and family to help promote your show, share it. For me, I had one friend and two friends and no family members share my stuff. Never. So now I'm just learning that I have to find other ways to promote my show, because you can't depend on everybody else just sharing. So I advise you to invest in what's called Wondershare. It is a great Filmora. Filmora. And it is a video platform where you can make and edit videos, because a lot of stuff that people were paying for, they were charging $300 to $400 to make a little 59-second or 30-minute advertising video. And I got Filmora and I was like, wow, I can do this myself. So you can too. So Filmora is a great addition. Use Filmora. You can edit videos, make them what you want. And now my full podcast edit, I got a couple guys on Fiverr that I use that actually go through, add my commercials, add my music, my intros, and all this stuff to give it a more professional sound. And that's a second ear to listen to the podcast and take out any edits that may need to be edited, like coughs, or sometimes when you're talking, you're going to learn to read that little graph that shows your voice as you're talking, and you're going to see like maybe big lines and one small, then a little dot like that. It's like, and that'd be where you're clearing your throat. There could be a breath coming out. So stuff like that, you want that second editor to help clean up your podcast so it sounds real nice. Now, for the two guys that I use to clean up my podcast, depending on the service I want, if I want full detail of what I'm requesting, I normally pay $22 and I get great quality work. If I just want the basic, because sometimes I'll go through and do what I want myself, then it's like maybe $12, $15. But you can pay other people now. There are people who say we do it professionally, and they're going to charge you like $300 to $400, sometimes even $200. So podcasting is not expensive. It's up to you to know what you want to do. Now, keep in mind, I told you that I use a USB mic. If you are going to use a dynamic mic, which plugs into a mixer can run you anywhere from $150 to $500 or even more. It's depending on the type of mixer you want, how many plugins you want, and it's kind of good because you can kind of sit there and play with the volume controls and different sounds. But I just don't feel I have a need for all of that right now, so I'm very happy with the USB version. But for those of you who really enjoy the whole sound effects doing the show, like if you're doing a live show, I can see a mixer. Very helpful. But when I do a live show, I don't use all those little sound effects and all that stuff, so I just don't have a need for it. But if you're going to be doing live shows and you want a lot of sound effects, or you want to change a person's voice on their microphone, then yeah, you might want to go for the more dynamic type mic. Now, that was a lot. I know I said it's going to be short, and looking at the time clock on my video, on my recorder, I'm at 27 minutes. So I'm going to cut this off. But if you have any questions about podcasting that I can answer, if you're thinking about going into podcasting, like I said, this is a free video. My advice and my answers are totally free. Just reach out to me, leave a comment, message me, and I'll definitely respond back with an answer. I can help you. But if you want a quick short version of how much I think it should cost you to start your podcast, then honestly, let's see, if you don't have let's say if you don't have a computer, consider the fact you don't have a computer, 400, 5, 6, 2, 4, yeah, so you're looking at about $600-700 if you don't have a computer. If you have a computer with a USB port, then honestly, you're probably gonna spend about, the microphone is gonna be your most expensive thing. So you're probably looking at $250, $280 is what it's gonna spend. If you have a computer already, $250 to $280 for your setup. Like I said, and that's doing voice only. If you're doing the video blogging, where you're using a video camera to do your podcast as well, so you can record it. Some people use a cell phone, which is fine. A lot of cell phones have great quality. If you want to buy a camera, you can get a nice camera like the two I got for $150, $140. So you're looking at about $400. So, but I recommend that if you don't want to do the video podcasting, you don't have to. I really don't. But that's it. Now, one more thing before I go. I know I said I was going to go. When you're recording, you want to know what I use? Because one thing I noticed when I first started recording with my podcast was there was this sort of reflection, like sound I could hear. So then I said, you know what? Maybe my voice is going into the microphone, but because it's bouncing around, the room itself was sending feedback to the microphone. So I went to the hobby store. I brought some foam like this. I brought a notebook I think I got this from Kmart, a little note binder. I took out the middle piece and I glued the foam to the inside. I cut out a little strip I had left and placed it right there. And I just bought this Batman cover because I'm a Batman fan. And basically, when I do my video, when I do my podcast, the microphone is in here, remember? I basically just set this like this. Let me show you, shoot. It's worth the time if it'll help you, me doing this. So basically, when I'm recording, this is how my microphone is set up. Now it's not touching because once it's fully set up, it'll be tightening good. But basically my microphone is set up like this, and there's a little piece of foam I got left over that goes over the top. And what that does is it keeps my voice inside this little area. And I'm telling you right now, the sound quality, oh my God, was night and day. It's honestly, to hear it, you will be amazed at what a difference that made. And to buy all of that, the notebook, the foam, and the Batman cover, and the little blue tape I used, which was cheap, that was all like about 13, 14 bucks. That's it, 13, 14 bucks. The foam I got, I think, is about an inch. It's an inch foam. But it made such a difference in the sound quality. I mean, it was amazing, amazing. So, with that being said, this video was long enough. Thank you for joining me today. Like I said, if you got any questions, please feel free to click down below, and I promise you I'll make a better one. This is a spur of the moment video. I just felt like sharing this with people because I know people have the same question. But I love podcasting. It is so much fun. I love the topics. I love the conversations. And right now I'm actually trying to find a co-host. I want to bring a co-host in because I love doing it. But I want to get that opposing or agreeable voice. Well, somebody you can go back with so the audience has somebody different to listening to. So I thought about a female co-host, but I just want to find that co-host that we can work together on it. So, but anyway, thank you for joining. If you got any questions, hit us down below. And if you are interested in co-hosting a podcast, check out my website. I'm going to put the link down below to where you can hear some of my podcasts. And if the topics interest you and you want to be in it, hey, let me know. My name is Reggie Maddox. I am the host of the Simply Straight Talk podcast, and I look forward to seeing you then.
To see you through. Don't look back. It's not the end. Give life your best, and I know you can win. You see, as a friend, I'm here for you. You should know that. As a friend, I'm here for you. Here I stand with you, wishing you the best in all you do. Always look for the breeze of love, the breeze of love. Here I stand with you, wishing you the best in all you do. Always look for the breeze of love, calm and gentle from above. No, 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 no. Ooh, yeah. Calm and gentle. Here I stand with you, yeah. I stand